good fish. That's a good fish. Woo! That was a surprise.
Last week I mentioned there was going to be some big news coming down the pipe, so here it is. In Deep on the Delta has reached 15,000 subscribers, and we're right around 3 million views. And for me, that is a huge deal. I'm a one-man show. YouTube for me is kind of a retirement hobby, and I never dreamed that this channel was going to grow the way it's grown, and that I would have made so many friends and been able to get out and reach so many people. So I want to thank everyone who's been watching. We're going to have some giveaways coming up in the next month to celebrate the 15,000 subscriber mark. We'll talk about that as we get into the report, but before we do, let's take a look at a few pictures, then we'll get into the report. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. You're watching In Deep on the Delta. This is the weekly fishing report for May 21st. And as I mentioned in the introduction, we've hit 15,000 subscribers. I can't thank you guys enough. You don't know how much I appreciate you guys watching. So what we're going to do for the next month or so, we're going to have a weekly drawing and we're going to give away a nice prize. Just kind of in appreciation for all of you folks who have been watching. Now to get in on this raffle, all you have to do is either watch the weekly report or watch another video and hit me up with a comment. That's scooper, SCOOPER 9561032 @gmail.com. Hit me up with a comment. You will automatically, your name will automatically be thrown into the bucket and you'll be in the raffle. Next week we will be raffling off a trip for two with In Deep on the Delta. We're going to go out, we're going to have a good time, we're going to try to catch a few fish, we may even have some lunch or something out on the Delta, but we're going to go out, it'll be a trip for two on the California Delta. Remember, if you want to get in on that raffle and the raffles to come, which some of them will be gift certificates, fishing tackle, who knows what the heck we're going to have. But next week's raffle is going to be for a trip for two with In Deep on the Delta here on the river. Let's move along, and I want to start off with a big congratulations to the high school anglers in the local area, especially the team anglers that have been participating in all the tournaments, the qualifying tournaments for the national championship. We have qualified 2 teams for the national championship from the San Joaquin Bass Masters. We have qualified 2 teams from the Delta Saints. We have 5 teams from the Folsom Club. That's unprecedented. 5 teams from 1 club qualifying for the national championship. Congratulations, Folsom. And we have the state champions who were crowned just last week, Evan and Maddox. They're from the Delta team. They've qualified. Evan and Parker, they were the second team from the San Joaquin Bass Masters by placing second. The top 3 teams in the state championship are qualified. Now, one of the other things I want to say that Evan and Maddox, who won the tournament, if they are 16 or over, they also qualify to fish as a co-angler for the Federation, the Bass Federation semifinals. So Evan is over 16 years old. He's going to get a chance to fish with the big boys and a chance to maybe go to the Bass Fishing Federation finals. And I don't know where that's at. I know the high school finals are in Kentucky. Last year, The youth angler that qualified actually won the Bass Fishing Federation co-angler championship last year. Now, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll be putting some information out there how you can get a hold of the team mentors and stuff if you want to support some of these guys financially or in any way you possibly can to get these guys back to Kentucky. I'll give you information on that. This week out at Bass Pro, the two teams from the San Joaquin Bassmasters, they will be out there. They're going to have a little bake sale. They're going to talk about some raffles and things. And next week I'll have information. Actually, I'm going to go out there, and after we talk Saturday, I might do a special little video for you guys that are interested in supporting high school bass fishing, how you can get involved with supporting some of these teams. And that hopefully we'll get that out maybe Saturday evening or Sunday morning. Anyhow, that is that's the business for this week. I want to get into the report, and man, you know, I could give this report, you know, what's going on here in the Delta. It's pretty similar throughout Northern California, and I need to talk about what this weather pattern. You know, we've had this wind the last beginning of the week, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Wind was blowing 30, 35 miles an hour. We had this weather front come through Northern California, and it's rearranged everything. And you know, every week I talk about, hey, the spawn's here, they're post-spawn, they're pre-spawn. I'm talking to Clear Lake Outdoors. They're telling me everything's, you know, heading into spawn. I'm talking to some of the people down at Don Pedro, Aaron out at Central Valley Bait and Tackle, and things are going on. And they've been evolving so fast, and it's changed so much. And I just want to say that, number one, this time of year, when all of these fish, springtime, when all of these fish start to move into shallow water, they get very finicky. They're moving into spawn, but they're on high alert. So here in Northern California, Central California, we've had such an oddball weather pattern that as these fish come into shallow water, water temperatures are warming up, everything's looking good for a spawn. Next thing we know, we get a cold front. Next thing we know, we get 30-mile-an-hour winds. Then it gets to be 80 degrees. Then a cold front comes in. We get 50-degree nights. Water temperatures are going like this. The barometer is going like this. What happens to fish in shallow water when these weather fronts come through? Generally, they move to deeper water, and it kind of postpones, you know, the next few days to a week of their plans, whether they were planning on spawning, whether they were planning on pre-spawning, whether they were planning on post-spawn. It just kind of prolongs this spawn season, and it has been such an up and down spawn season. And I just want to get that out there, because when I talk to Clear Lake, I talked to Dave from Clear Lake Outdoors, and he's kind of readjusting his thoughts on where Clear Lake is as far as spawn. And he's saying that about 30% or about a third of the fish are still in pre-spawn, a third of the fish are in active spawn, and there's a third of the fish in post-spawn. Now, I think the Delta is kind of similar to what's going on with Clear Lake. Yep. So with that, what the heck is going on? Well, again, Clear Lake Outdoors is reporting that Clear Lake, you know, there was a topwater bite that was starting to happen till the wind was blowing 30 to 40 miles an hour. It's put a big binder on what's going on at Clear Lake. It's rebounding right now. By this weekend, it should be coming back to normal. Dave was expecting that as the weather temperatures warm up and that water starts to warm up, the topwater bite is going to continue to get better and better. But right now it's just kind of junk fishing. You've got to move around, and you've just got to put your time in. And you know, that's all I'm going to say about Clear Lake. You got to get up there and do what you're going to do and see what happens. For a up-to-date report, make sure you call Clear Lake Outdoors. You can get a hold of Dave or Nino. They'll give you a straight shot. I think next week I'm going to get a chance to go out fishing up at Maloney's with John Liechty. John and I have been talking about doing a video on how, or John's going to talk about how he transitions from post-spawn into summer, how you follow the fish from their spawning grounds out to where they're going to spend most of their summers, where they feed and where they get more active. He'll talk about how to find that, what to do, baits, depths, conditions to look for, so on and so forth. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check out John's video here at In Deep on the Delta when it comes to, it'll be called something like transitioning from the spawn to summer pattern. That'd be as good as any. I have a special guest. I've got Joey Price on. I was out with Joey Tuesday, and Joey is going to talk a little bit about what he's been seeing and give his 2 cents on what's going to happen in the next few weeks. So that's coming up here in just a minute. Let's talk about the tournaments that we've seen on the Delta. We had the Wednesday night the Wednesday tournament, and don't quote me on any of these. I'm just off the top of my head. I think 19 pounds won. That is a weight that is, shouldn't be happening here at this time of year on the California Delta. We had the Delta Bass Club. I think their tournament was won with 15 pounds. I think the Bass Hole tournament was won with 17 pounds. That was out. They fished that on Sunday. The wind was blowing about 35 miles an hour. You can imagine why they only had 17 pounds with all the big names that were in that tournament. The Monday night tournament, I believe, was like 15 or 17 pounds to win it. I know Joey fished that tournament, and he had 13 pounds. He had second place in that with 13 pounds. The Thursday night, or the Thursday tournament, I think they had around 15 pounds to win. So the weights are way down. A lot of the big fish just weren't active through this storm. Again, we had 30-mile-an-hour winds. But what's going on out here? Well, it's the barometer jumping around. Like I said, we had 3-4 days of wind that just howled out here. 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour. I don't know what the heck it was going, but it was just howling out here. Rolls up the water. When Joey and I were out Tuesday, we fished from Sherman Island to Frank's Track. Starting up at Sherman, we had maybe a foot of visibility. As we came back down, the visibility down into the Central Delta, the visibility got better. 68 to 70 degree water, depending on what day you're out and who you are, where you're at. And the visibility down around Frank's Track was still around 3 or 4 feet. I'm looking down right around Paradise Point now. We still have about 5-6 feet of visibility, but everything is kind of in a reset. So with that, you have the conditions here. Let's turn it over to Joey, and we'll let Joey talk about what we did on Tuesday and give you his idea of what's going to go on in the next couple weeks. So we'll take a look at that clip right now. All right, today I'm out at Big Break Marina with Joey Price from Priceless Fishing, and Joey's got a report for you. Joey, let's talk a little bit about what you've been seeing the last couple weeks. And we've had that storm come in. It's changed things around. We're kind of resetting everything right now, and then maybe I can ask you a few questions, or you can talk about what people should be looking at for the next couple of weeks, what they should be thinking about, maybe some baits that they should be throwing out here.
Yeah, so I mean, before all the wind rolled in, I think I know you were, the walking bait bite was really good. The frog bite was pretty, you could make it work. And then other than that, kind of the chatterbait and then worming at the low tide was kind of the offshore was the deal. But I think as soon as this water cleans up, the bite's going to get a lot better. I mean, most everywhere, because not only is it dirty, not only do we have big negative tides, they also sprayed pretty much everything central. They did a good job of it the last 2 weeks, so all the repercussions of that are going to start to show, and then everything will normalize. So I think, 2 or 3 days, I would go right back to what you were doing beforehand.
Okay. It'll reset by then.
Yeah, throw the walking baits, throw your worms, throw your chatterbaits, and if you find like a nice little area with really clean grass that's still around after the spray, I would spend a good hour or two punching it, seeing if you can get something out of there.
And that's for the guys coming out, say by this weekend. This will be Thursday. By Saturday, Sunday, it might reset.
I think so, as long as it doesn't start blowing again. I mean, it's going to be hot, so it'll start being windy in the afternoon, and that's okay. But it looks like, hold on. Let me see. I'm guessing a lot of these low tides are going to start to go away. And that's the nice thing about this is I can just go next day. Yeah. So we're still looking at negatives into into the beginning of June, so they're not going to go away.
Yeah.
But all that's going to do is it's going to push the post spawn into full effect as we have all these more and more and more negative tides that just stay around. That's our low tide now, is it's going to push all the fish kind of out, island edges, offshore. So chatterbait, walking baits, and then punching when you can on the high switches are going to be your go-tos.
For some of you guys that may not have picked up on what Joey's saying, he looked at his tide patterns, and we're going to have negative tides. So the flats and the shallow water are going to be really negative. Those fish will probably push out a little farther, and they will be on the edges. So if you're coming out on the weekends, even at a high tide, you may want to start on the outside and then work your way in.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this happens up north a lot. Like, you'll start at the bottom of an outgo, but you're still throwing your chatterbait all the way out on the edge of the grass lines. Like on the main river, giant hydrilla grass lines, you can see them. You just get out and throw your chatterbait way out. Just try to stay on the edge of the grass line. And even when that tide comes back in or all the way back in, you can the hydrilla is still there, and they still are kind of sitting out there floating on the grass. So it's...
Any certain colors? Bluegill, crayfish?
I would play with red and green pumpkin, and don't overcomplicate it. You know, there are combos that you can find on accident you might really like. I have a few of them, everyone does. But if you're coming out here and you don't have a whole lot of confidence in anything, go all green or like green pumpkin red, something like that. The Brett Heights Hot Craw or whatever, that's a great color.
Yeah. We saw a lot of stripers today. I know you're looking for stripers. You're thinking there's going to be, we found a lot of them. They weren't necessarily biting today.
Yeah.
But give everybody the information they need if they want to get a hold of you to maybe book a trip.
Yeah, so I mean, my website is just pricelessfishing.com. My phone number is 925-872-9726. The striper stuff will kind of take a break here, but I think what's coming up is the crawfish molt. I'm really excited for it. So the red punch, the red chatterbait, even we got one left.
We left one in here.
even the red buzzbait, if you've ever done that, is gonna kick off, and it's gonna be full swing. So I'm really excited for it. That's usually like the beginning of June to middle June, and there's one more striper bite not a lot of guys play with, and it is that red crawfish striper bite in like the middle of the summer, kind of up at Liberty and kind of out here on the San Joaquin. So yeah, no, that'll be a really fun thing to do, especially if that's honestly the next opening I have isn't until the middle of June anyway. So
okay, so give Joey a call. He'll be glad to take you out and show you around out here. Thanks a lot, Joey.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to the report. So I'd like to thank Joey Price for, number one, taking me out and having me aboard and showing me around the West Delta. I don't get out there as much as I used to, but it was fun getting out there. We caught some fish. It was tough day, but we had a good time, and I got to look at a lot of new water. And it was really interesting because Joey knows that area so well. As we moved around from Sherman and Big Break, Frank's Track, he was able to point out things that the remnants of the storm that we were seeing. You know, he says usually this water is 5, 6, 7, 8 feet of vis. We got a foot of visibility. That was interesting for me. Joey's pointing out the deep spots here and the shallow spots there, so on and so forth. So I learned a lot, and I feel like I might have to go out there and give that another try when the weather settles down. One thing that you'll notice if you're coming out, or you may not notice or may not be aware of, we have had a bunch of negative tides. So when the tide goes down, it's a negative 2 feet. It's 2 feet shallower at low tide than it usually is, where a lot of fish were holding right in a foot or two of water. That's high and dry at a negative tide. So what happens? They're forced to move out. Now, my son Nathan and I have been fishing quite a bit, and we have really seen the effects of that. Where we were catching fish in 2 and 3 feet of water, those fish are out, you know, in 10 to 15 feet of water, and that's where we're getting the bigger fish that we're catching. And it's been hard to catch bigger fish. I want to just say that, you know, I know a lot of people have been watching the weekly report. We've been opening up with Nate or I catching a 6 to 7 pound fish, and you're thinking, man, those guys are just on them. We're not on them. We're catching big fish fairly routinely because we're going out before it gets light, and we're fishing the change of light, and then we're going home. Or we're going out after dinner and we're fishing after dark for an hour or so. That's when we're getting most of these big fish, and we can tell when that bite starts and when it stops. In the morning when that bite stops, we go home and have breakfast. We don't stay out there for another 8 hours to catch 5 or 6 fish and you know, wait for the next tide or whatever. So we have been able to, through the process of editing and going out very early and fishing very late, to catch, I'll say, a 5 to 7 pound fish fairly consistently. Our topwater bite was really getting good up until the storm. Starting Monday, it started to come back. We went out Monday. I think we had about a 25 fish evening, but the big fish were gone. Our biggest fish was, I think, right around 3 pounds. We caught 2 or 3 of those, and everything else was either dinks or fish in the 1.5 pound to 2, maybe 2.25 pound class. It was a fun day, but it wasn't what we were expecting because we didn't get one big bite, one bite that we thought was over 4 pounds. With that being said, our #1 bait is a walking bait, either a spook or a rover. With this wind, you need something that's going to make some surface disturbance. We've been throwing rats, we've been throwing some wake baits, we've been throwing poppers, we've been throwing buzz baits, we've been throwing bubble walkers, you know, everything you can think of. And the walking baits have outperformed everything. Worms are still working. Here's a big plus. The toad fishing is starting. Don't forget that toad with an underspin. Fish it like a crankbait. You'll start catching fish out here. Green pumpkin, black or red are the colors. Chatterbaits are starting to go. The punch bite was going, but if you're going to fish shallow punch fish, you may have to wait 2 or 3 days for those fish to start moving back into the real shallow water. But fishing or punching or flipping offshore vegetation, that's going to come into play. Frog fishing is up and down, but you really want to look at that. And I don't want to keep you any longer. It's, you know, we're going to have to reevaluate what goes on. I'm doing the video Wednesday morning, so Wednesday, Thursday, by Friday, the fish should be reset. You guys that are coming out this weekend should see some better fishing. So with that, stay tuned. Next week we'll announce the winner of the In Deep on the Delta Day on the Water, and hopefully we'll have a better report for you. Good luck. Send in your reports. We'll see you on the river.